Welcome back, friends, to this section of the trending burning question. We saw those pictures coming in from Parliament where opposition parties tried to march towards the Enforcement Directorate headquarters yesterday, forcing the agency to really release data, blunting the opposition charge. Essentially, what the opposition meant was that the agency, including the CBI, so agencies actually, are going after political opposition at the behest of the government, and that they don't have substance. They don't have reasons apart from political motives to be going after these opposition leaders. In fact, the ED data that came out shows that just 3% of the cases are against politicians of all hues, MPs, MLAs, sitting, present, former, including senior leaders. And the conviction rate when it comes to those cases that have gone through trial in the courts stands at a high of 96%. Let's try to understand between what the opposition says in terms of their charge against the agencies and what the facts are through this report, and then I come back to discuss and dissect this issue.
From AAP,
तो इन्होंने देखा कि भाई ये केजरीवाल की काम की राजनीति के सामने तो हमारी दाल नहीं गलेगी, तो उन्होंने षड्यंत्र रचना चालू किया। फिर इन्होंने मेरे दो सबसे शानदार मंत्री गिरफ्तार कर लिए, मनीष सिसोदिया और सतिंदर जैन।
to BRS.
Bharatiya Janata Party, because they are power in the central government as well, they are utilizing the central agencies to take over the rights of the states and to shield their own people. They are shielding BL Santosh today, they are shielding Mr. MLA in Karnataka who's caught with money. And if ED is not on vacation, and if ED is not biased only towards targeting the opposition, they should immediately book a case on Mr. MLA who's caught with the money.
To Vadra Congress. Giving it a political colour, opposition is targeting ED. ED has released data. It's a clear fact check for opposition. Not only has trial of 25 cases completed, but in 24 cases it has resulted in conviction. Only in one case the trial case has resulted in acquittal. There is a 96% chance of conviction. Can the opposition still claim vendetta? Let's debate.
All right, welcome back, friends. Let's debate. And what are we debating? Essentially, the opposition charge against the agencies, whether they are biased. And let me introduce my panel of guests, beginning with Shazia Ilmi, national spokesperson of the BJP, joins us live from Delhi. Dr. Piyush Joshi, political analyst, joins us live from Indore, leans towards the Aam Aadmi Party. It would be interesting to see on a day when Arvind Kejriwal has almost quit on Manish Sisodia, saying, we'll discuss him later, let's focus on some work. Khaliqur Rahman, senior leader of the BRS, live from Hyderabad. And then, generally I begin with opposition first, I give them the space first, but then we have a professional with us on the panel, ex-CBI Joint Director Shantanu Sen. So I would want to begin with you, sir. When agencies like the CBI, and you have been part of it, and the Enforcement Directorate and some others, income tax for example, when they are attacked by opposition, when they are charged with political bias or being handmaidens of the party in power, what happens to the officers who are working on the ground? We have recoveries happening. Enforcement Directorate, for example, recovering 20,000 crore rupees over the last few years, attaching properties worth about 1,15,000 crore rupees. What happens, what goes on in the minds of the officers? Forget about the ED director or the CBI chief. The officers, the sleuths who are working meticulously, painstakingly to build cases and make these seizures, make those recoveries. What happens to their mind? Sir.
See, the opposition charge is of recent origin. It is not a charge which has been made in the past. CBI has existed in one form or another since 1942. It came as a member of the War Department, as a special police establishment, seeing corruption, attacking corruption in the War Department during the British rule. Thereafter, It continued as an anti-corruption agency, and it was given a name in 1963, which converted the Special Police Establishment, its investigating wing, into the Central Bureau of Investigation. CBI was well respected, highly commended. Wait till 1980s, when the first onslaught on the CBI began, and that was in the Congress regime, when Rajiv Gandhi took away the powers of the CBI to investigate corruption against senior officers. Of course, that single directive was quashed. Thereafter, the Bajpayee government brought it as a part of law instead of a single directive. Even that was quashed. Therefore, the Supreme Court is not of the opinion that CBI should be caged. CBI should be free. CBI had a name of itself. But the present government in 2018 decided to further curb the CBI and decided that any public servant whose decision is presumed to be corrupt will not be investigated by the CBI till his appointing authority said so. So thereafter the CBI is really manacled. CBI can now only investigate cases of traps and cases which are of disproportionate asset. The rest of the cases have to be given to the CBI by the appointing authority. And since that is the position, there is now a tendency of the opposition, though it's not quite fair, because many cases are true, that
it's not fair at all,
CBI is only attacking the opposition. But that is the charge which is being made because of the orders, amendment of the law, which has taken away the power of the CBI to initiate investigations itself.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. Sir, my question was, in fact, what happens to the mindset of officers who are working on these cases? The point taken. Sir, point taken. I have to keep moving the debate because I have to involve others also. I'll come back to you, sir. Essentially, the point you are making is that whatever has happened in terms of emasculation of agencies is not a new phenomenon. It has been happening since 1980s, from the time of Rajiv Gandhi. You specifically named him, and then subsequently whatever changes have happened. Shazia Ilmi, you also, as suggested by Shantanu Sen as a professional, have to respond to this charge that's coming in from the opposition that increasingly, or at least visibly, the numbers suggest otherwise, but media attention-wise, most of these cases that we see, Lalu Prasad Yadav, K. Kavita, Congress, Vadra Congress, most of these parties, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, most of these cases Abhishek, where politicians are under the lens, they are from the opposition.
Abhishek, to my mind, this is the single biggest fact check that has happened. And this has taken away all false claims and the trigger of this witch hunt that they seem to be crying foul about. Finally, it has been put to rest, and these crony, corrupt buddies have been exposed for who they are, for their corruption. Now, let me put it out straight there. Let me tell Abhishek, as you know already, even better than me, ED has, and you can see it on Enforcement Directorate's website. This is the data release. PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is as old as 2005. The conviction rate has not been as low as all the opposition leaders have been saying and scoffing at and deriding. But indeed, it has been 96%.
Well, I will object to this and I will respond.
A whopping 96%, which is a slap on the face.
Respond, Piyush Joshi, respond.
All these corrupt leaders. It is a big slap and a big egg.
How is it a joke? How is it a joke? How is it a joke? What happens in the court is not in control of the agency, Piyush Joshi.
Because PMLA and because
let him respond.
with all the investigation and because
come
the
in?
power
Shazia, let him respond. Shazia, he's saying it's a joke. Shazia, let me take him on. Let me take him on, Shazia. Piyush Joshi is saying that this is a joke. How is it a joke, Piyush Joshi? How this conviction rate is a joke? Once an agency has investigated the matter and you understand how it works, once the investigation is complete, a charge sheet is filed, the matter is committed to a court of law, and then the court decides. The trial goes on. The witnesses are examined. Convictions happen based on their charges are framed. There is a due process that is followed. How do you say that this conviction rate is a joke if only 25 cases have reached a conclusion, Piyush Joshi?
Exactly. Now that's what I'm trying to tell you. If 25 cases have reached the conclusion since 2005, 5,906 cases have been filed, and not a single one of them has reached the conclusion. And based on only 25 cases in which you have conducted and completed the inquiry, out of the 24.
You're lying. This is not the case.
Prove it.
They have
prove
moved
it.
court.
Prove it.
This is judiciary.
Prove
There's
it that
rule
I'm
of law
lying.
in India.
Prove
You're
it that
lying,
I'm
sir.
lying.
You're lying
Prove
again,
it that I'm
sir.
lying.
You've lied again, and I will not tolerate it.
Bhai, ED is in your
No,
pocket.
no,
Ask them
no
if they
lies
filed
and
these
no
many
corruption.
cases or not.
Sorry, it's not happening.
ED is in your pocket.
Sorry.
You can ask them,
You're
ma'am.
lying.
You can ask
You're
them.
lying.
Achha, was ED not in the pocket of the Congress party when UPA 1, UPA 2
So they
governments were
paid for
there?
it. They paid
You're
for
hiding
it.
and loot
They paid
money.
for it.
If that is
So
the
they paid
argument.
for it.
Yes,
They were
you're
thrown
hiding.
out
You're
of power.
protecting the
They were thrown out
corrupt.
of power. They paid
You're
for it.
looting the
They
public,
paid for it.
and you don't
The
want
Supreme
anybody
Court
to
made a
speak.
comment.
Shame
The
on you.
The Honorable Supreme
Shame
Court.
on you. You grew
Shame
out
on you,
of an
ma'am. Shame on
anti-corruption
you.
movement,
Shame
and
on
you're defending
you
the
for
corrupt.
keeping
Piyush Joshi.
in your
I'm sorry.
pocket. And
Okay,
shame
okay,
on
Shazia.
you
Fantastically
on
well.
selectively
It has a
targeting the opposition
96%
Okay,
leaders.
Shazia, no, no, no,
This is
no, no, no.
the most disgrace,
Shazia,
shameless
Shazia,
government
let's-
we have ever seen.
No,
Don't lie.
Shazia,
Very simple. I'm making
let's
a
grill
simple
Piyush
matter of
Joshi a bit.
fact.
You are saying
Lying.
ED is in
You
the
also
pocket.
know
I'm
lying.
just saying, Abhishek.
No, no, I'm
Piyush
just
Joshi.
exposing- I'm just exposing you for your
You are
corruption.
making
That's all.
an absolutely personal, motivated comment on the enforcement directorate that ED is in the pocket of the government. First, you have to understand how agencies work. I said
But
there is a process that is
very
followed
well
in terms of
understand,
investigation.
Abhishek
Now,
ji,
just
I
to
very
give you a
well
number,
understand
Piyush
how the
Joshi,
agencies
you
work.
threw
and I say
me a number at me.
I
I'm throwing you a number.
very well
Listen,
understand.
listen,
No,
listen,
just
Piyush
let
Joshi.
the
Just let me make my
Listen,
point, then you
Piyush
can
Joshi.
counter, right?
Yeah.
No.
are
Shazia,
the
hold
better
on.
of the
Shazia, hold on.
right?
I'm countering him with facts. Shazia, hold on. I'm countering him with facts. Piyush Joshi, listen.
He's countered
Of
with
the
facts. That's why he's
5,906
running away.
FIRs or the
Come on,
ED
come
equivalent
on, come on,
file,
Shazia.
ECIR.
Stealing.
Shazia, hold on.
His masters have been caught
Shazia, hold
stealing.
on. Shazia,
Come
hold
on,
on.
come on,
Shazia, hold on. Let me take this
Stealing
forward. I have to
views.
involve
Shame on
Khaliqur
you.
Rahman also. Shazia, hold on. Oh,
Your
Shazia, hold
masters
on.
have
Let's
been
not get
caught
personal. I am confronting Piyush Joshi with some facts.
And it is personal.
Okay, now the facts are, out of the 5,900 cases which have been filed by the Enforcement Directorate, only 3%, which is 176 against politicians of all hues. And this is from 2005 onwards, so obviously there have been cases against those parties which are now in power but were in opposition, for example, from 2005 to 2014. Out
Agreed.
of
I'm
those
not
176
disputing that.
cases in which politicians are
disputing
under
that.
investigation, Piyush Joshi, hold on.
I'm not disputing that.
Searches, hold on, I'm giving you a fact. Searches have been
I'm
carried
not
out
disputing that. I
only
agree.
in 9% of the cases. Make it a
Can't
round figure of
dispute that,
10%,
even if
which
you
is about
want to.
17 cases.
I
Only in
agree.
17 cases
I agree
searches
on
carried
that.
out. The reason is
Abhishek.
that only in 10% of the cases there was material to go ahead. So the ED is very meticulous in going after
I am
whosoever.
just contesting. I am
There
just
is-
contesting the fact of the 96% conviction rate. Because
Yes,
since
of all the
2005,
cases that have moved the
Abhishek,
release the
if
No, you are
confusion
picking
your
up-
channel gives you
after
time
due
to
diligence and
time
investigation.
to
Shazia, hold on, Shazia, hold on. Let's
If you don't
listen
do
to
it
him.
for-
Please know the facts.
Shazia,
when you
hold
speak,
on.
my dear friend.
Shazia, hold on. We don't have
You
much
have to
time.
ask
Shazia,
me to
hold
be
on.
a
I have to
lawyer
involve
of some
Khaliqur
sort,
Rahman
right?
also. Shazia, hold on.
Piyush, there is something called rule of law in this country. Things happen in a certain way. There is a certain
So for
procedure.
you take 18 years. You take 18 years to
Investigation
complete
goes.
the cases.
Khaliqur Rahman,
You take
why are you
18
starting
years to
Khaliqur
complete the
Rahman?
cases.
Are you?
Come on.
I am just contesting one
Khaliqur
fact,
Rahman,
Abhishek ji. Abhishek ji, just one fact.
threw a
I'm
number at
contesting.
Piyush
Please
Joshi.
let
He is
me.
not willing to
Just give me
debate on
30
that. So
seconds,
I am
yaar.
giving that number to you. And please explain. Your leader, K. Kavita, might be under the lens now and she is being investigated. And it's not just her. There is a big case going on which is premised on a vigilance inquiry. And officers submitting a report on what exactly transpired. For God's sake, let the process go on. Let it come to a conclusion. Let your leaders get a clean sheet from courts, like in the case of Prime Minister, like in the case of present Home Minister, and see the conduct in which, see the manner in which they conducted themselves when those cases were going on in Gujarat. The graceful manner in which they submitted themselves to the process of law. And see what's happening now. When a Sonia Gandhi or a Rahul Gandhi goes to the Enforcement Directorate, the Congress party indulges in that tamasha outside the ED office. That privilege, by the way, is not given to or extended to Mallikarjun Kharge. So obviously, all these politicians in the opposition space are essentially looking at using the ED investigations to create a grand tamasha.
Let me tell you, it is nothing to create a grand tamasha, but all these cases against the politicians are politically motivated. Because I will show you, in fact, this is from the Business Standard, September 21, 2022. There is a report which clearly says that ED cases against opposition candidates up fourfold under NDA government. So, and if it is not a political vendetta, then what it is? Because if the, and let me also tell you, just now, you just read out the figures. Out of 176 cases booked against politicians, how many cases were booked against the ruling party politicians? Can you say that, Abhishek? Because let's talk about the percentage. Now coming to
by the way, this 176, Mr. Khaliqur Rahman, 176 from 2005 onwards. So obviously this includes, as I said, I mentioned, I don't have the exact number, but this 176 includes all political parties, including those that were in opposition at that time.
Let me tell you, out of that 176, it is only 25 cases against the ruling party. And that to those 25 cases, I'm telling you, that to those 25 cases, out of which they have switched over to the BJP party. Shazia ji, please allow me to speak. Shazia ji, please allow me to speak. Shazia ji, please don't heckle me. Don't speak over me. Don't speak over me. If you speak over me, then how will I be able to?
In formulating of the excise
Shazia,
policy.
this is not the way to debate. This is not the way to debate. You didn't allow Piyush ji to speak. And now you are not allowing me to speak.
Let Khaliqur Rahman complete. Shazia, let Khaliqur Rahman complete the point that he's making, Shazia.
What was your aide doing with Vijay Nair? That is the explanation you should be giving right now.
Okay, Shazia, but let him make the point. We know the case, but let him make the point that he's making. Khaliqur Rahman, please complete.
Why there was a connection between Indus Spirit,
if I'm allowed to speak, I'll be able to speak. But otherwise, if Shazia keeps shouting like this, keeps playing like this, keeps heckling like this, the best way is if you can't defend yourself, you
let him complete the point that he's making, Shazia. It's an important intervention that he's making. I can take the debate forward from where he's leaving, provided you let him make the point, Shazia. Okay, Khaliqur Rahman, go ahead. I have to come to the end of this debate in 2 minutes. Khaliqur Rahman, complete your point.
See, out of the 176 cases which were booked against the politicians during the NDA regime, out of which only 24 cases were booked against the ruling party politicians, and that too, they have become the ruling party. Now, before that, they were also in opposition. But when the cases were booked against them, they quit their parties when they joined the BJP. Now, those cases have been put into the cold storage. So this is the political vendetta.
Okay.
This is, if you don't call it a political vendetta, then what do you call it?
Mr. Rahman.
Yes.
Mr. Rahman, you have made your point. It's a political vendetta. Only the courts of law obviously would decide whether there was substance in the investigation that have been carried out. Shazia, unfortunately, I've run out of time. I would have wanted to involve Mr. Shantanu Hussain once again, but then I can't. The point is that the 20,000 crore rupees recovered by the Enforcement Directorate is money belonging to the people of the country, which was pilfered, looted by some corrupt elements, obviously including politicians, and that's the service to the nation that has happened. We shouldn't be targeting agencies for doing their work if there is an element of political bias, and it's possible there might be. The courts of law of the country are the best platforms to decide whether that was the case. On that note, thank you so much, friends, for joining us, and of course my guests Shazia Ilmi, Shantanu Hussain, Piyush Joshi and Khaliqur Rahman. A short break. On the other side, Arnab Goswami is back with the debate.